So we're up here in the beautiful Blue Ridge Mountains today, and I'm gonna give you guys a quick walkthrough of where the car is at now, and then we're going to go for basically my first actual drive since we did the 2AR swap in the MR2. Obviously the 2AR is the biggest change that we've made to this car overall, but we've done a handful of other modifications leading up to that. Probably most significantly, the suspension. We did Fortune Auto 510 coilovers all the way around on it to help the car handle kind of the track abuse that we were going to be throwing at it. And this stuff has been through 2 track days of VIR and it's held up phenomenally. It's been really, really great on track. It obviously Advan wheels, completely essential. If it's a car that I'm building, it's probably going to have Advans. I'm not sponsored. I just love Advan wheels. The wheels are Advan TC4s, a little 15 by 8.5, I think plus 35 or so. They're wrapped in Nankang CR1 tires, which are a 1.5 years older or so. So they were really grippy at the track, but I think that at this point the compound is just kind of probably going to start to lose life and start to die. But they've been phenomenal tires. We've got a bunch of sway bars in the front and rear, as well as end links to help kind of tame some of the mid-engine MR2 handling characteristics. We're running Carbotech XP10 brake pads, which have, again, been to 2 different track days. They're phenomenal. Stop really, really hard. The car feels like it has big brakes. And then we've also got a Coil-Rad radiator to keep everything cool, super essential whenever you're taking a car to the racetrack, as well as a hard dog roll bar in case we somehow managed to roll the car over with 107 horsepower. Now the possibility of actually getting into a pretty fast wreck with this car is significantly higher because we have over double the horsepower. Obviously the big change is the engine, and if you haven't watched any of the more recent swap videos, or if you need a quick refresher, the engine that we've put into the car is a Toyota 2AR FXE out of a 2013 Camry hybrid. We obviously ditched all of the hybrid components. The car is just straight up an internal combustion unit. There's no electric power, but the motor only had 50,000 miles on it when I bought it from a junkyard, so still a pretty young engine at this point. It is a 12.5:1 compression ratio because it's the FXE. It was an Atkinson cycle motor, supposed to be just super fuel efficient, made 150 horsepower, and I think that included the hybrid motor. Now it makes 230 horsepower to the wheels on the 85 and 220 on pump gas 93, which is what we have here on the East Coast. That is going to be pretty potent, I think, because we weighed the car and it came in at 2,100 pounds. I did the math and the power to weight is a relatively not that impressive 9.5 pounds per horsepower, but power to weight ratio doesn't always, tell the whole story, right? This is going to accelerate, I think, pretty aggressively because it is such a light little car. And then obviously in the corners, it doesn't have a lot of mass that it needs to redirect. It should stop and corner just as well as it did back when we had the 1ZZ in there. It's just going to require me to hit the brakes a little bit earlier, perhaps. The really interesting thing when we finished having the car tuned by Maine up at Turbo XS was the torque curve. It makes heaps more torque. This is an extremely torquey package that we're working with here. I was moving around in the parking lot just to load it onto the trailer to drive up here, and I put it into 3rd on accident instead of 1st, and I didn't even notice that the car was in 3rd. This thing is extremely torquey for the amount of weight that it's trying to move, which that's going to be a lot of fun to drive. It's got the EB60 transmission out of a Scion TC 2nd gen, so it is a 6-speed. We're running the thing on a Haltech Elite 1500 standalone ECU, and my dash is basically comprised of a Haltech IC7 dash, which I have ghetto rigged to the center console for right now because I didn't have time to fabricate it to where it's actually supposed to be for a dash. So this will be kind of a stopgap just so that I can make this video and take it for a first drive, shake everything down. Thank you, sir. All right, let's drive the MR2. It is so beautiful out here right now. This is super exciting. And away we go. So it's making more horsepower than it used to. That is immediately evident. Let me just roll this up in the hopes that we can get better audio. Oh, that's quite torquey. Oh my goodness. She's still a death trap. I'm glad that that has not changed. Whoa. It does little backfires. This thing is so rowdy now. And be on throttle at the same time. Before, the little MR2 was so, I would describe it as demure, right? It was 107 horsepower and it was just a little sweetheart. It behaved, it followed the rules. It no longer follows the rules. Characteristics are, you know, it's rowdier for sure, but the power band is so linear and consistent. It doesn't feel like a car that's trying to kill you. Like, you know, I mean, I guess I'm just very used to turbo cars, but it's nice to just be able to get on the throttle and just progressively make more power in a very linear way that's very predictable. That's the recipe for a fast car, I think. Predictability. It's only got 230 horsepower, so it's not some kind of, you know, absolute rocket ship. It definitely moves much faster than it used to. Acceleration is picked up massively. But I think that when you got anything on the racetrack, horsepower is much less noticeable, because typically speaking, the track is pretty wide, much more wide than a 2-lane road. So I don't think that when I actually get this onto the racetrack, it's going to feel crazy fast, because it doesn't even feel crazy fast right now. But it will feel very potent, I think, because it felt good to begin with, even with the little 1ZZ. And now it's just kind of like two 1ZZs. That's reverse. So that's an interesting thing, is reverse is up by first on the EB60 transmission, but there's for some reason no like reverse lockout. I guess when you're going for first, you're usually going slow enough that you wouldn't need a reverse lockout anyways, but I don't love grinding into reverse on accident when I'm trying to put it into first. Okay, now lighting is going to change pretty dramatically. And that's 60. It's that first through third that's really something. With any car that's like lower horsepower, like 230, that's not, you know, earth-shattering. But, you know, low weight as well, something that's only 2,100 pounds with 230 horsepower. it's always the initial acceleration from a stop that I think is going to be most noteworthy, and it really is here. First gear disappears, second gear is gone pretty fast as well. It's nice. It's so good though, because I think sometimes you can do an engine swap and all of a sudden it feels very much like you've kind of created something that's just a bastard. You know what I mean? You put like a turbo K series into a car like this, or you know, some kind of large displacement V6 or something, and yeah, it'll make a lot of power, but you've kind of changed fundamentally the weight distribution and the handling characteristics and the power delivery that this chassis was supposed to have, that this chassis was designed for. And I think that what's nice about the 2AR is that it can be as rowdy as you want, you know, but at the same time, like I said, with the power band, it's very linear, and the weight distribution is relatively the same. The power delivery is the same as how it was to begin with. It's just a lot faster. It's a lot of everything faster, but it's, you know, not that different than I could see a modern day MR2 being offered with a 2AR engine or something like it. It's just that extra bit of giddy up that I think this chassis really wanted and needed, without kind of ruining the balance of the car. Fifth gear works, that's good. Sixth gear works, that's good. I definitely want to go back through the chassis and just make sure that everything is as tight as it needs to be. But this is a very entertaining car to drive now, and I'm really happy that we did this swap in particular. I think that Mark is really onto something. It's super cool. I like this a lot. I'm a big fan. Mark had a really good idea for a swap with the 2AR. Extremely potent. He hasn't driven one on E85 yet, but E85 works really well. I haven't driven this car on pump gas, so I'm interested to see how it feels with 10 less horsepower, but this was an extremely nice first drive.
All right, so we've got Luke here.
I don't know why I'm doing this.
He's gonna drive the MR2 and give his impressions.
Yeah, I'm gonna give my humble impressions for somebody who dailies a Honda Fit. All right, let's feel this torque. Oh my gosh! This thing is a ripper. Wow, it hauls. The torque is just instant. It reminds me almost like a Tesla. Wow, that is incredible. The transmission shifts perfectly. Man, this thing backfires like crazy. Downshifting's what? That is incredible. It's just instant torque. Like there's no waiting for anything. It just goes. Wow, incredible. It drives great. The chassis feels like super rigid, super planted, but the power is just awesome. This thing is, oh my gosh. I don't even, oh, it says I'm doing 162 kilometers per hour right now. I don't think the speedo is quite calibrated properly, but I mean, all this stuff on the Haltech is awesome. I can see like pretty much everything on here. I can see ignition angle. Like, why do I need to know that? Throttle position, 20, wow, that is so, wow. You can see everything. Oh, that was, so that's what he means by reverse, okay. Is it gonna make this turn? It will make this turn, nice. All right, I wanna feel that torque again. Let me get to this straight up here. Man, this thing is a, all right. Let's feel that torque. Let's feel instant torque. Woo! This thing is a monster. Wow, incredible. amazing man, let me tell you. You found something incredible with these MR2s.
So guys, we just drove mutually the little MR2 that could, and Luke, what do you think about it?
It's good. I like it. I really do. I think it has amazing torque, and it drives, you know, very behaved.
I think you're
I'm out of
really
frame.
different.
Yeah. I'm just kind of like screaming over to you.
Yeah, no, it is, that is the craziest thing about it to me, is that it really feels like it has more torque than my truck. It's really, really impressive.
It does rip. 1, 2, 3 in that car goes by so fast.
Yeah, it's like I was saying in the car, 1, 2, 3, those fly by, and then you're in fourth and you're like, okay, it does just have 230 horsepower.
I do like the Haltech. The Haltech has a lot of information on there.
Yeah.
The speedo may not be fully accurate, but everything else is actually very cool. Like the fact that you can like see throttle position and stuff is awesome. Like you stick it down, you stick your foot down, and it just immediately shoots like 100.
Having driven it a bit more in the waning hours of the day, when you try and drive it just gently, like when I was shuttling Luke around to get shots on the mountain, when you just drive it like a normal car, partial throttle and all that kind of stuff is really refined for what kind of build it is and like how quickly we kind of threw everything together and tuned it and stuff. Like partial throttle is super drivable. Like the car, when you're not wide open throttle, is actually pretty quiet and pretty comfortable. Not that I'm actually going to drive it on the street, but if you're thinking about doing a swap like this on a street-driven MR2, I think that it would be pretty livable, which is always nice to know.
You just got to give her a name.
A name?
Yeah.
I think bucket still applies. If you want though, you've driven it on the street, now you actually need to come and drive it at the track, because that's
a tall order, man.
No, dude.
Coming from somebody who drives a Honda Fit, that's a tall order.
Well, okay, well, so we'll drive the Fit at the track.
Okay, yeah. Then we can move up.
Then we'll upgrade.
Yeah, we gotta go from elementary school to middle school, and then I don't know what high school is yet, but we'll figure that out.
Right. Well, wait till you get to your doctorate, bro.
Yeah.
You're gonna be the Formula One car.
PhD.
Yeah. But all in all, I'm super thrilled that we did this swap. Mark, I think, is a literal Dr. Frankenstein, way too smart for his own good. But this car is a total riot, super fun on the street. So if you have like street-driven MR2, I think that the 2AR is the perfect swap. E85, we only burned a quarter tank of gas and we were ripping it around for like 4 hours. So that's pretty impressive for E85. Yep. You know, it is still a Camry hybrid, you know, Atkinson cycle motor. But you know, as a track car, I can't speak on how it's gonna do, but I think it's gonna do pretty darn well.
Ripper! Wow! 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 You can wow! 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 Oh, wow!